Willie D. Live.
Kineta Lewis Harrison.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Is it often that you feel welcome in the kind of business that you're in? Like, oftentimes when people hear from you, it's not good news.
Unfortunately. However, there's an upside.
Yeah.
So when I'm out and about and I tell people, it always invokes curiosity and conversation.
Yeah.
So it can go both ways, right?
Yeah.
People are always interested in knowing, what do you do? How did you do it? How did you get into it? How long you been doing this? All that good stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is a very interesting craft.
It is a craft. Thanks for acknowledging that.
Yeah. So, and you can easily start a conversation no matter what room you're in. People are kind of interested. It's like kind of spooky, but at the same time, tell us more. Tell us more. Like, how did you get into it? How did you get into the funeral business?
I'm a fourth generation funeral director. Mm-hmm. My family is from Alexandria, Louisiana.
Okay.
And my mother's father was a funeral director. So I started just coming around my family's establishment and fell in love with the idea of being a funeral director.
Mm.
The idea. Because back then, you didn't have a lot of women doing the directing. Most women did the paperwork, the cosmetics. But when I said I want to be a funeral director, it was kind of laughable. Mm-hmm. However, I believed that I could, so I did.
How old were you when you first got this inkling that you wanted to
that's a good question. I was about 6 years old. My grandfather said I was playing with dolls, and I had a shoebox. Put my doll in the shoebox.
What?
And put my cards in a row. And he asked me what I was doing, and I said I was having a funeral.
Okay.
Yes.
And how old do you remember when you first started going around bodies in the morgue?
I was pretty young. Maybe 10, 11, 12. But you got to remember, in Louisiana, it's family. So the house is upstairs. The living quarters are upstairs. The funeral home is downstairs. So the phone rings upstairs.
You really grew up in a funeral home?
My cousins and my mom's first cousin lived upstairs. Funeral home was downstairs. So when we would go to the house to eat and celebrate, do everything you do, you just had to be quiet because a funeral could be going on downstairs.
So this is normal, seeing caskets and
and removals,
people on gurneys.
Yes, all of that.
People just dead, just seeing that.
More living than dead. You deal with the living more than you do the deceased. That's a part of it, but you're really reaching the people. It's a people business.
Did they teach you that, or you just picked that up? Because that is good. That's good how you just said that. It's more about the living.
It's a people business, more the living than the dead.
Did your friends find it weird that you was interested in?
Initially, a lot of questions. Are you sure? Because there were a lot of challenges. I'm from a small town, right? So we didn't have a mortuary school. So I had to relocate if I really wanted to do this. And I made up in my mind, this is what I'm going to do. So I started exploring options. I prayed for guidance. And I was led to Houston, to Commonwealth, which is one of the best options for those who pursue mortuary science. Mm-hmm. And I started out at Northwestern University in Natchitoches, would take classes there until I was ready for the stage where I needed to go to the next level and pursue my degree in mortuary science.
And it is a science to it.
It is.
It's not just something anybody can just wake up and say, I got this down.
No, you cannot.
Yeah.
You have to really have a passion for it. People talk about callings. I love Dr. Miles Monroe, if you ever heard of him. He's deceased now, but he's from the Bahamas. And one of the key things he would say is the richest place in the world is the cemetery. It's not for the monetary things that are in the ground. It's because of the gifts that are on inside of us that we never poured out and we buried. Our stories that we never told, our gifts that were never shared are buried in the cemetery. So he always says, die empty.
Die empty.
Pouring out.
I think because some people, when they hear die empty, they think, okay, that means you die with no money. A lot of people die with no money.
No, this is internal.
Yeah.
that I empty, pouring
Okay.
out.
Yeah,
So
right.
I decided to choose the path that led to purpose, which is why I say a calling is what it is. If you get into business because you see money or opportunity for dollars, you won't stay because it's not enough to keep you there. You know, the trials and the things you go through, both psychologically, spiritually, you know, it's a challenge. You're dealing with people who have had a death every single day. Think about that. Who wants to really do that?
Yeah.
As in my case, for over 23 years.
How do you compartmentalize those people's anguish and the energy that's transferred to you?
You have to be
Because
like,
you are passionate and you do
Yeah.
care. You can't just turn it off.
can't just turn it off.
But how do you compartmentalize it so that you don't go insane?
Good question. So I'm from Louisiana, so I like to compare it to the alligator, right? When you see an alligator, they're very thick-skinned. They can feel, they can sense, they know you're there. Their presence is known, but the skin is thick enough that every single thing doesn't penetrate them. So you have to have the skin, I would say, like an alligator, because the purpose is I still want to feel them, but I can't let it puncture me because I have to be strong enough to be there for them. I have to be the one to hold in my emotions so that I can help them endure theirs.